Hello, welcome, and thank you for watching this month's Tarot Talk. I'm intuitive reader Bryan Stafford from Stafford Tarot, and today's Tarot Talk topic, we're going to discuss an intuitive style of reading. Now, to give some time for some viewers to join me on this live broadcast, I'm just going to quickly talk about what's new at Stafford Tarot and about some of the upcoming events that I'm looking forward to. Now, first of all, if you're watching this from my website because you're interested in seeing a sample reading, please feel free to skip ahead in the video about 10-20 minutes, as I will be offering free live short readings during this broadcast to viewers who join me live. So what's new? First of all, there are some exciting changes happening on the website. One of the new changes is a new online booking system to request readings. That's coming soon. I'm really excited about this. I did have a temporary system set up, but it's not quite working out, and so we're just going to overhaul that. And so watch for that. That'll be coming soon. There is lots to do on my website. If you take a look, if you're interested, you can watch the previous Tarot Talk discussions, the previous live broadcasts and recordings. You can also learn about the tarot and oracle decks that I use within my readings. You can read the blog, which contains suggestions, tips, and advice on doing tarot readings, as well as there's even a section to learn to do tarot readings for yourself. So if any of that sounds interesting, please check out my website. And of course, there's also description details about the services that I offer, about the individual readings, as well as group sessions and distant remote services as well. All of that's available at my website, www.staffordtarot.com. Some of the upcoming events that I'm looking forward to will be happening shortly. The New Moon Oracle card pull will be released shortly for the new moon on Thursday, September 14th, 2023. So watch for that. I've been getting some great feedback from some users online that say that it's they find them very helpful. So I appreciate knowing that. Thank you. And I will be offering another free draw for a chance to win a short free remote tarot reading from me. The draw will be happening on Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. I usually do the draw between 9 and 10 a.m. that day. So you have until 9 a.m. on September 19th to get involved. So how do you get involved in the draw? You simply like, share, or comment on any social media posts that mention the draw. What I do is on the morning of, I go through all of the mentions, all of the social media posts of the draw. I collect all the names of everyone that commented or shared or reacted to, and they're automatically included in the draw. I literally take a hat and cut out all the names and shuffle it up and draw the names. I draw 1 in 5 winners. So what that means is if I get 1 to 5 people participating, I draw 1 winner. If I get 5 to 10 people participating, I draw 2 winners. 10 to 15 people, I draw 3 winners, etc. And I keep doing that right up until I keep the ratio 1 to 5. The draws, when they're 1, happen over Zoom usually, but you can decide on a different media or video conferencing platform of your choice. I don't mind that. And they usually will be scheduled between us. So watch for your email. I will send an email or a message out to the winner. So for example, if you liked a post on Facebook and that's how you got involved in the draw and that's how you won, then I will send you a Facebook message. If you sent me an email saying that you'd like to be included in the draw and I included you that way and you won, then I will respond to you in email. I will always use the same platform that you contacted me to let you know that you're the winner. So watch for your messages, watch for your emails on September 19th to see if you've won a free remote short tarot reading. I have some really exciting markets coming up that I want to talk to you about. The closest one is the Crystal Witches Market hosted by Luna Events Canada. It's going to be happening on Saturday, September 23rd, 2023. The market's going to be open from about 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's, of course, Eastern Standard Time because it's in Rockwood, Ontario at the Rockmosa Community Centre. Then I'm going to be into October. I have all sorts of events happening, which are really exciting. One of those events is the Sip and Shop Witches Market hosted by Collectively Unique Boutique. And that's going to be happening Friday, October 13th, 2023. And the market will be open from 5 to 10 p.m. And that's going to be happening in Niagara Falls, Ontario at the Lundy Manor. And I'm also very excited to be a part of a spirit market hosted by the Homer Watson House and Gallery. That's going to be happening on Saturday, October 14th, 2023. The gallery is going to be open from 10 p.m. to 4 p.m. And there's going to be the spirit market there. And that's happening in Kitchener, Ontario at the Homer Watson House itself. Really looking forward to that. And so much more happening in October, so keep watch on my website, staffordtarot.com, for those details, and all of the information about all of these events is on my website if you're needing an address or location or directions to get there, or just details about the events themselves. Please feel free to check out my website. All the information is there. And I will be adding more as the events come closer. And then on October 17th, which is a Tuesday, I will be doing my next Tarot Talk live event. Now at that Tarot Talk live event, I will be discussing the Tarot Talk topic, readings of children. How readings change if I'm giving readings to children, what's involved to give readings for children. All of that's involved in that will be discussed on that Tarot Talk topic on October 17th. But today's Tarot Talk topic is going to be about an intuitive style of reading. If there's any questions whatsoever, please feel free to visit the website. I do keep it up to date and regularly up to date. All the information is usually there, and I always share as much information as I can in case anyone is ever interested to learn or to do tarot readings for yourself even. So an intuitive style of reading. So the reason why I'm talking about this is because there are different styles of readings. There are different types of tarot readers. Some tarot readers don't even use this kind of tarot deck. There's other kinds of tarot decks available, or oracle decks exclusively. There's many different ranges to learn to do tarot readings. And the way that I do tarot readings is with an intuitive style. So I'm an intuitive tarot reader. I'm also a trans-dimensional tarot reader. I've talked a little bit about being a trans-dimensional tarot reader in a previous broadcast. If you want more information about that, you can look into those previous broadcasts on my website. There's a link there right near the Tarot Talk section. And what I tend to do is, even though I've learned the meanings of all the cards, I still follow my intuitive sense while I'm reading. So there's a lot of imagery and symbolisms in the cards themselves. I can give you an example. I'll just pull the first card that comes out here, and it's the Temperance card. So the Temperance card looks like this, and usually the meaning is about turning something. If you're going through a negative experience, you can find the positive or find the light in what's happening. There's many different reasons that this card could come out as, but what I tend to watch for is what's standing out in the imagery of the card. So for example, I don't know if you can see well enough, sometimes the imagery is what's standing out for me are, see these little flowers here along the edge? They're kind of like, what are they called? Not lilies, but a type of those flowers there. If they stand out to me, quite often that can represent sort of a healing approach or health, and finding the positive and negatives in what you're going through in terms of healing or approach. Other times it's the path on the other side of the card that stands out for me. And if it's the path that stands out for me, that could mean more of finding the positive and negative in what you're going through in terms of the journey that you're on or the goal that you're heading towards. Another thing that often stands out for me is notice how the character on the card is dipping their foot in the water. That also could be a sign of like taking a step forward in something, looking ahead into the future, or an intuitive sense, perhaps. The different ways that the card can stand out for me can tweak and change the meaning of the card in the message that needs to be delivered. So a lot of times if someone gives me a topic or question that I'm to focus on, and I shuffle the cards and I pull out a card, I'm watching for what stands out for me in an intuitive sense to find the message that needed to be delivered based on that topic or question. Here's another example from a different deck, which has slightly different graphics, but I always read decks the same way with my intuitive sense. And this is another example on how I know that what the meaning of the card is. It's the King of Pentacles, and Pentacles in tarot either represent money or health. It's like our needs, our embodiment, and what we need for ourselves. Usually that's money or health. And I determine that based on what stands out for me in the card. So, for example, since it's a pentacle, you can see the coin. And if the coin stands out for me, then quite often it's about finances. It's about financial security or funds or prosperity, or it could be about a job, making money, that sort of intuitive sense. Other times his staff or scepter may stand out for me, and that can be often an intuitive sense of taking control of a situation in terms of yourself, and whether it's money or health would determine that. Now, I talked a little bit about how I would recognize money in this card, either through the coin, the scepter, or the crown, or things of value may stand out for me. If it was a health-related question, or if it was a health-related response to the question or topic, what may stand out for me are the grapes, the vines, the flowers, the leaves, the different symbolisms in the card that would more represent health rather than money or finances. So depending on what stands out for me as soon as the card gets on the table would depend on the direction that I go in the symbolism of the card itself. So sometimes what has been asked of me as a tarot reader from a viewer once was, how do I, why is it that different messages come up in different readings, sometimes for the same card? And that's because the first time that you may have seen that card come out and I get an intuitive sense from that card, I was drawn to specific symbolisms and imagery in the card itself. Then when it came out the second time in a different reading, I was drawn to the different symbolisms and meanings of the card based on the imagery. So whatever stood out for me in the moment of the reading itself or within the reading session is what I go by. And that's really important to me. It makes sure that I'm following my intuitive sense, but also that I'm delivering the messages in the way that they should be delivered, or in the way that they need to be heard. Quite often the messages that come out on the table come out as they need to be heard, which is why I often recommend to people that if you are coming to me for a tarot session and you only want to do, say, one reading, a half-an-hour reading on one specific topic or question, but you have so many questions, you don't know what to ask or how to narrow it down, I often say leave the reading general, because what needs to be heard is going to come up on the table. So if you're not sure what question to ask, you could always leave it general and see what needs to be heard most. Some people do that when they don't even have a question to ask. It's just a way of confirmation. When the messages come out on the table, you then relate it to what's going on for you, and you can pinpoint those important messages on what you needed to hear. I've never had someone come from a tarot reading that said it wasn't helpful. And that's because of the messages that appeared on the table at the time that needed to be heard, that was most helpful to them. They were all drawn from the intuitive symbolisms that I was picking up in the cards. Hello, Kevin. Thanks for joining. I appreciate your message. It lets me know that the messages are at least working. I did one time have a broadcast where the messages didn't even appear. So I really appreciate that. Let me know that you can hear me okay. And anyone who's interested to receive a free tarot reading tonight, just write interested in the chat and I will add you to the list. When I start the tarot reading sessions, I will go in the order that the list that people have presented themselves as interested. I should mention I am capping tonight's readings to 6 short readings. Each reading takes about 15 minutes. And so if I did 6 short readings, that would be about an hour and a half's worth. And I try to keep the broadcast under 2 hours length. I think that's reasonable. So anyone who's interested, let me know and I will add you to the list. So Kevin, I just answered your question there. How do you get a read? You simply write in the chat that you're interested and I will add you to the list. So Kevin, I'm going to consider that showing interest. And so you're my first reading tonight. If you stay on the broadcast, I will be starting them actually quite shortly. I'm just writing your name on the list. I should also mention that sometimes the messages that appear take a little bit of time to show up on the screen when I can see them during the broadcast. So I have viewers who are joining me. I can see you. Thank you so much for joining. And they write in the chat and I can see it pop up, but it takes about 20 to 30 seconds by the time the viewers have entered it into the chat and the time that I can see it. So if you've entered a question or something and I'm still looking at it like, I'm not sure. Sorry, I just wrote another name down. Elizabeth, you're now on the list as well. Thank you for that. I see that you're interested. So if you ever put a question or comment on, or you show interest and I haven't acknowledged it yet, just try to be patient. I will see it as it comes up. If I ever miss anyone, please just be patient or repeat that you were interested or that you tried to let me know. And I do try to keep up on that. Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for joining. I will also add you on the list. And anyone else who's interested in joining, just let me know and I will add you to the list as we go through the evening. So, Kevin, if you're ready, I will start with you. Now, in my short readings, I always start with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and then I move on to another deck where you could have a topic or question to focus on, or I can leave it general. So just let me know if you have a specific topic or question you'd like me to focus on for this reading. And then if we have time, we can expand further using another deck. I have several tarot decks and oracle decks down this way that we can expand on further, either to look for advice or get suggestions or analyze emotions or past experiences or all sorts of different angles and perspectives and ways we can look at the same reading session. So Kevin, if you have a specific topic or question you'd like me to focus on, general, perfect, I can do that. I just saw your message pop up there. So I'm just charging the cards with the intention for my impression pull, Kevin. And a first person or a 1-card impression pull is just 1 card that tells me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And I have talked about the 1-card impression pulls at a previous live broadcast. If you are interested about that, you could always go back and look at that. Now, the card that I get for you, Kevin, is the 10 of Wands. It didn't come out reversed, and so this is the way the card appears. And you can see here that this person is like overburdened with tasks. Wand represent actions that need to be taken. And so with the amount of actions that are on your shoulders, you have a lot to carry. I feel like it's probably heavy on your shoulders with what you're going through, Kevin. Let me know if that makes sense to you or if that you can resonate with that. Quite often when someone gets this card and they feel perhaps even overwhelmed by the amount of tasks that they're carrying or that they have to complete, just know that as you complete these tasks, as you sort of remove the wands that you're carrying, the actions that need to be completed, your load will get lighter. The tasks will become less and you'll be able to feel accomplished and move forward with that. Okay, thank you for that confirmation, Kevin. I appreciate that. That card makes sense. So I'm going to move on to this deck now. This is my Morgan Greer deck, and I'm just focusing on a general reading. I'm going to pull 3 cards from this deck, and we're just going to look at how those cards communicate with each other to get the messages that need to be received. And I'm just shuffling until I intuitively feel like I should stop. Such as now. So then I'm going to cut the deck 3 times, as is my way. And the 3 cards are ready for us. Now 2 cards did come out reversed and 1 not. Also, I just want to point out that the 2 cards on both ends of these 3 cards are higher arcana cards, which are usually the more important messages in the tarot reading. I will show you the cards one by one as I go through the meanings, but I'm drawn to start here and move my way this way. Just intuitively, this card is standing out more than the rest. So I'm going to start there. And the first card that I'm drawn to, Kevin, is the Fool card. Now, the Fool card did come out reversed. And there is a reason for that. And I'm just going to tell you that in a moment. Hi, Apexa. Thank you so much. You would like a reading, and so I'm going to add you to the list. Now, Apexa, you're 4th in the list. In the list so far, I have Kevin, who I'm doing his reading now, then Elizabeth, then Lindsay, then Apexa. So I have 2 more spots available for anyone who would like a reading tonight. And also just letting you know that if you requested a list and you didn't hear yourself in the list, if you requested a reading and you didn't hear yourself in the list, please let me know in the chat and I will make sure that you get on the list, okay? So, Kevin, this is for you. The first card that came out is the Fool card reversed. And what this card often means is the card, when it comes out this way, sorry, I'm just writing another name on the list. When the card comes out this way, it can often mean that you appear as the Fool, but you know exactly what you're doing inside. But to everyone around you, they're kind of questioning your actions. They're kind of wondering what you're thinking. They can't figure you out. So you appear as the Fool. When the card comes out reversed in the way that it did here, it can often mean that to everyone else you appear like you know what you're doing, but you're sort of either winging it or you feel like you're the Fool. Now, quite often this card comes up for someone who they're not actually the Fool, but they feel like they are, or they feel like they're missing something, or there could be a reference to just maybe some confidence issues there, or just feeling that you need that extra push to that you know what you're doing. That's really what this card represents when it comes out this way. But I get the sense that the people around you seem to get the impression that you do know what you're doing. So I think you appear as confident, even though internally you're going through a bit of a struggle. Now, the next card that comes out, I'm just going to work my way across here, is the 7 of Wands reversed. Now, the 7 of Wands is similar to the message where you're sitting now with all of these tasks that you have to complete. But notice in the imagery, when you turn it normally, you can see that this person has their wand and they're using it to be up against all these other wands, almost like a self-defense or a competition kind of way. Now, when it's reversed, it can often mean that you may have avoided that sort of competition. So either the competition is behind you, where you've already gone through this sort of back and forth or up against other people's actions, and now you've done something where it's no longer in competition, or you're no longer against them, or it can mean that you've avoided going up against them in the first place. So I'll let you decide how you resonate with that. But I do get an intuitive sense that it's sort of the latter, that even if you went through it, you may have avoided it from getting worse or having it to become a bigger situation than what it was. Now, the next card I think speaks really highly for you, Kevin, which is why I felt like I needed to start here and work my way to this card. This is the World card. It did not come out reversed. It is a higher arcana card in this tarot structure. The card itself looks like this. I'll try and show you as much of it as possible. And it's really about how you view your world, the perspectives, the different perspectives of yourself when you look at what you're going through in your life. And quite often when we make those different perspectives, we can then choose to make the proper changes or analyze what needs to change, or things that we can let go of because it no longer serves us, and things that we want to keep because they do still serve us. That kind of exchange where, you're deciding how you want your world to look, and the things that are in your world and what you want to see in it. And I think that these cards that are reversed could be just describing the structure or process of what you're going through to get here, to to form your world in the way that you see fit. Let me know how that resonates with you, Kevin, or if that makes sense to you. When I look at this reading and I bring it right back to where you are now with all of this on your shoulders, all of this that you're going through, and all these actions that need to be taken, just know that I think the sense that I'm getting from the reading is that you're doing this the right way, that you're going through this process, that you're being sort of responsible for, like you're carrying the wands, you're going through this, sorting out the actions that need to be completed. And so I know that the more that you do that, the less there's going to be to do, because those are going to be completed. Now I'm wondering how I can expand on this further. Hi, Lynn, I did add you to the list, just so you know. So you'll be 5th on the list, and I have one more spot available for anyone who's interested. Okay, I'm glad that that makes sense for you. I'm sorry that that's how you feel. I'm looking at how to expand on this further. I'm just seeing which cards are drawing me to them more. I'm wondering, given by the comment that you just said, if it might be helpful to get advice from my heart chakra deck. I do use this deck quite a lot for getting advice in terms of what someone needs for themselves. And I think that might be helpful for you, Kevin, given what you've explained and how much you're going through, that we could look at advice in terms of what you need for yourself in this situation. So I am connecting to the energies of this reading to expand further using this deck. I am charging this deck with the energies of the reading right from the beginning, and asking this deck for advice moving forward in this session. And this will be advice in terms of what you need for yourself. And thank you, Apex Meta. I did add you to the list. You're 4th on the list. I feel like this is right here. Now, one thing I find interesting is that the way the cards have come out, there's 2 6s and a 4. In numerology, 6s are sort of like how we interact with the energies around us or the people around us. And 4 is like grounding and finding structure. And so I'm going to start there because the grounding and finding structure card is the only one that's not reversed. And it's the Just Breathe card. It looks like this. And it really represents just that, like breathe, calm yourself down, find your grounding, find your focus, A lot of times if we're not calm, and we can't be grounded, and we're just like, if our minds are like this and we're firing away at all these different things on our head, we can't make the proper decisions. Like sometimes we really have to bring that down and calm it down in order to look at the situation clearly and make an informed decision. And that's what that's saying. It's like, go internal, bring yourself down through either meditation or yoga or whatever connects with you. Some people just go on a walk, or sometimes you just need a moment to let things go off your mind so that you can then bring yourself into that situation again with a more clear focus. And I think that's what that's really saying for you. Like, just breathe, keep yourself calm, stay cool. It seems like a lot of times this card can come out for advice for someone who may be going through a lot, or it feels hectic. Now, the card on the other end of the reading is what I'm drawn to next, and then I'll get to the higher arcana card that showed up. Now, this card is an emotional card, and it's the Believe and Succeed card reversed. Now, I don't think what this is saying is that you won't succeed, and that's why it's reversed. What I think this is really saying is that you don't need to believe you'll succeed. You know you'll succeed. You don't need the encouragement. I think you know you can do this. I think there's something inside you that could be guiding you in the right direction, or that you have a sense that you can follow. If it was this way, it would be like, the advice would be to believe and succeed. Like, you need to believe in yourself in order to succeed. So the advice would be to believe in yourself, which would mean that you may not be feeling confident. When it's reversed, it can mean the opposite of that, where, you must feel confident. If you don't need to believe it that you'll succeed, you're just going to succeed. Like, you don't need to convince yourself. I think you already think it. And I think what this says is that somewhere in you is that confidence. And I could understand why this could be so hard, or such a difficult path. Now, the third card that came out for your advice is the Third Eye Chakra card reversed. Now, this is a higher arcana card in the tarot structure of the heart chakra deck. And what's really interesting is, it's always fascinating to me when the heart chakra deck points to another energy center, another chakra, and it's pointing you up to your third eye chakra. And what this often means is, when it's reversed like this, it can mean that you're not fully connecting with your third chakra. So there's an imbalance there. So quite often when there's an imbalance, one of two things can happen. If your third eye chakra is imbalanced, where it's too closed, you're not going to be able to envision the future. You're not going to be able to use an intuitive sense to guide yourself through. If your third eye chakra is too open, your visions are unobtainable, or your visions could be far out there, or they're exaggerated beyond belief. And trying to keep your head in check and focus, and not letting your imagination get the best of you, or get carried away, or let your mind play tricks on you. You need to decide where you are on that balance, and find the medium, find the balance. If you can balance your third eye chakra, you'll be able to envision the future. You'll be able to know your intuition. You'll be able to follow your instincts. So I think that could be the first place that you could start, Kevin, is really doing some of that grounding and protection of yourself. Just know that you are who you are, and it's okay to be you, and you have this ability and power inside you, and just go with that. And I think if you can turn that card around specifically, that's going to make a difference for you. And again, when I look back through your whole reading, I see heavy thoughts and intellect. I see emotion. I see a lot of action. No health or pentacles or coins. And I think it's just important to look at what doesn't show up on the table, as important as it is to consider what does. And so without any health or money showing up on the table, I don't think that that is going to play a factor in whatever situation you're going through affected by this, except for possibly the stress or the. Now, I do apologize. I think I just disconnected for a moment. So I'm just going to repeat that last message. I just wanted to mention to Kevin in your reading that this card can come out for someone who may feel exhausted or overwhelmed in the amount of tasks that are happening. And so I could understand if you're feeling that way because of the suits that are appearing on the table. I hope that makes sense. Do you have any questions about this reading so far, Kevin? If you don't have any questions, I'm going to put the cards away. I'm just going to wait and see what comes up because of that delay. Okay, thank you for that confirmation, Kevin. I'm really glad that this really helps out. So I'm just going to decharge and clear the decks. Awesome. Thank you, Kevin, for that. I appreciate knowing how helpful it was and that you don't have any other questions. So I'm just clearing the decks and getting ready, and then I will do Elizabeth. Elizabeth, if you're there and ready for your reading. Now, Elizabeth, as I did with Kevin as well, I can focus on a specific topic or question that you may have, or I can leave it general. As I mentioned, quite often when readings are left general, the messages that need to be heard will pop up anyways, but it's up to you if you want to try and refine what you're looking for from the reading itself. Thank you, Elizabeth. I see you there. Perfect. I'll do it general. And I'm just about ready here. Clearing Kevin's energy from the deck. And now we're ready to charge with Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, we're going to do a general reading for you. I'm just going to pull one card from this deck. This is an impression pull. What I'm actually doing, Elizabeth, is I'm focusing on my crystal ball to connect with your energy from a distance. And I'm charging your energy to the deck. And what I'm asking the deck is to give me an impression of the energy that I'm sensing. So that it's actually my own reading on what the energy impact is that I'm sensing from you. And for you, Elizabeth, I get the Eight of Wands reversed. The card looks like this in the way that it came out. And quite often when the card comes out like this, Elizabeth, it can mean that you have all of these tasks and responsibilities and things to accomplish and actions to take. And it's as if everything has been just thrown up in the air and it's all scattered and it's just going to land where it lands. And when these tasks land, you have to complete them. So it's almost like you have this big order of tasks and you have to do them when they do them. And you don't really have control of when they need to get done. It's just a matter of completing it and getting through that process. And this kind of card can come out usually for someone who's overwhelmed by the number of tasks, or they may not see the number of tasks that are ahead of them. So it feels like they're just like coming out of nowhere and you just have to try and complete them as they appear. Does that make sense for you, Elizabeth? What's standing out for me intuitively in the card, if you notice at the bottom of the card here, there's like a little hill, or not a little hill, it's like a hill, but it's in the distance. And I get the sense, even when it's reversed, that I get a sense that you're trying to reach higher ground, that you're trying to get to higher ground. So you could be trying to get on top of these tasks and just feeling like you're being buried by them at the same time. Does that make sense? Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate that confirmation that it made sense when I first asked there. Oh, and did you see how that card just flipped over while I grabbed the second deck and so I don't see any coincidences in tarot, okay? And so Elizabeth, I was reaching for the deck to charge the deck with your energy and this popped out. So I don't feel like this is part of your reading. What I feel like this card is a message that the card just feels like you need. Like it's telling me, here's your message, give it to them. And so here's your message. It's the Star card. And I really love that this is the card that came out for you, Elizabeth, because in this situation, feeling like this with the overwhelm and the amount of stuff that's falling around you that you have to complete, you have this strong ability inside you. You have this light inside you. The Star card does not appear on the deck for anyone who doesn't have this light. And what I mean by light inside you is that you have this presence to you. I think you bring people joy, or you bring people like when you enter a room, people get a sense from you that oh, Elizabeth has arrived. You have this light inside you that you're caring, you're loving, you're a good person. And so with this coming out, I think the cards are just trying to say that you got this. Like, even though you're going through all of this at the time, you got the Star card. Like, you can do this. I'm going to add that to the deck again and continue, because I hadn't even started charging the deck with your energy before that popped out. And so I want to get an accurate 3-card pull for you in terms of the messages that you need to hear. But I think that that's a really good start. And the 3 cards that have come out are rather interesting, actually. 2 of them are upright, one's reversed, and one is a higher arcana, and 2 of them are suits. I'm going to start with the suits and move my way to the higher arcana. I just feel drawn to do that. But I'm starting in the middle suit because that's drawing more attention to me. And it's the King of Swords. It did not come out reversed. The card looks like this. And Elizabeth, quite often the King of Swords represents someone who's sitting in a position where they have to make a decision. And it's like heavy thoughts and intellect in your decision. So the king, often when you sit in the throne of the king, you have these important decisions that affect your world, and they affect the people in your world, sort of like the way a king makes decisions over his kingdom. And there are quite often sacrifices involved in these kinds of decisions. So with it coming out this way, I think you're sitting in the king's throne. You're making these hard and strong decisions on the things that are heavy on your mind. Then I need to talk about the 3 of Wands reversed. It looks like this when it's reversed, the way that it came out. And wands, as we learned in Kevin's reading, wands represent actions and tasks, things that we need to do or get done. When yours is reversed, 3 in numerology is like communication, sorting things out. You're sorting out your actions. And interestingly enough, you're not having to choose. I think what this is speaking to is how things are just kind of falling around you, and you just have to do things as they happen. It's not really within your choice. Normally, the card would look like this, and you can see that this person is communicating with themselves to make a choice. They've placed one of the wands behind them. They have another wand in front of them, and they've grasped this wand, almost like they were deciding between them. And they put one behind them as if to say, not that one, and they chose this one. So it's almost like a process of choosing and what tasks you need to complete. When it's reversed, it's like that process ain't taking place. And then the next card that I need to speak about is the Emperor card. This is a higher arcana card in this tarot structure, so it is a more important message in this tarot draw. And it's really speaking about responsibility. The responsibility that you're sitting in. And because the Emperor card and the King of Swords card have come side by side, I feel like they're kind of speaking together in terms of these decisions that you're making are a big responsibility. Now, I'm wondering how I can expand on this reading further. With the way that you may be having trouble deciding which task to take on, or that you can't decide without it, being told which one you're doing. I'm wondering if it would be helpful to look at that balance of the tasks that you need to complete and your own personal life, time for yourself. And so I'm wondering about doing a 3-card pull from this deck. This is my pagan deck, and it works really well at finding that balance in life. Now, the deck tries to use a structure that compares spiritual life with modern life, and how that fits together. But I can apply that in the sense of sort of how this responsibility you're sitting in and the decision, how that is, how life. So I'm just charging this deck with that intention. And when I intuitively feel like I should stop, that's when I know, like now. Okay, and the 3 cards that have come out, one is a higher arcana card, and it's right dead in the center of this reading. And so it's bookended by 2 cups. Cups in tarot are like heavy emotions. Just a moment. Hi, Shanine Ann. Thank you for your message. I just added you to the list, and you are my 6th person to the list. So you're the last person that I'll be giving readings for tonight. I'm just doing my 2nd reading, so you may have a bit of a wait till I get to your name, okay? So just be patient and stay with us on the broadcast, and I will get to your reading. I'm just going to write that you want that for career, so I don't forget, because the chat will continue and I'll miss that. Okay, so Elizabeth, the 3 cards that have come out are quite interesting. I asked this deck for advice in terms of creating that balance for you in everything that's been happening. And what came out, I'm going to just go in the order that they came out here, is the 2 of Cups is the first card that I want to talk about. And you can see here, 2 in numerology is like a partnership. Sometimes it's us finding our place in the universe. And cups are emotion. And quite often when we go through that emotional process of finding ourselves, it can mean that we need to change the perspective of ourselves. And you can see that here in the imagery of the card. You see this person, and they're up against a mirror, and their image in the mirror looks very different from the way they look in person. And I think they're visioning what they see themselves as, or they're envisioning in the mirror how they should look or what they would like to be. And I think that's maybe a process that you may want to look at, is how do you want to be perceived in the world? How do you feel about yourself even? And do you have confidence in yourself? Boosting that up is going to be incredibly helpful to you, I think. I get that sense, okay? Now, the next card that I'm drawn to, I'm actually going to go to the bookends first, because this is the card that's calling me next, and it's the 8 of Cups. It did not come out reversed, and it looks like this. And the 8 of Cups usually is about emotional success. And quite often, because 8 in numerology is success and Cups is emotion in tarot. And so usually when we mix emotion with success, it can be like, what do I choose? How do I get there? It can be an emotional journey to get to that success. And you can see it here displayed in the way that the character in the card is trying to choose the right cup and the right choice of cups. And what this can often mean is that there could be an emotional overwhelm for you, that you're going to need to sort out each cup individually. All together, all of those cups together are going to feel overwhelming. It's too much emotion to go through at once. But if you just take one cup and you sort through that one pocket of emotions, when it's sorted, put it aside, take another cup, work through that other pocket of emotions, put it aside. Eventually, you're going to be able to work through all those emotions and be stronger for it. Now, the last card I want to point out is the Wheel card. This is a higher arcana card. It is the 10th card in the higher arcana order. And it really represents, the wheel is often representative of a year long. And what this is often depicting is that there's a wait, that you need to have patience, that, you know, it just takes time. Sometimes you have to just put in the work, and the work can seem very draining or very boring or not very exciting, or it's like, really, I have to do this. But once you get through that, you will end up somewhere. This card will quite often be looked at as a good luck card in the future, but you have to get there. You have to take the patience to get there and the time that it takes to accomplish that goal. Does that make sense for you, Elizabeth? When I look at the way that this reading has come out and bring it right back to where you're sitting now, I could understand why this could be hard or overwhelming, especially if you haven't begun working through some of those emotional cups. Okay, thank you for that confirmation. I really appreciate knowing that this totally all makes sense. Now, when I look at the type of suits that have come out in this reading, you have emotions in the cups, you have heavy thoughts and intellect in the swords, and you have actions in the wands. Again, there's no health or prosperity appearing in the cards. And so I think what you really need to do is just make sure that you're in check with yourself, and those other categories are just going to align. But it's really about getting through this process. And I also get the sense that you might want to be careful not being too hard on yourself. When these two cards speak together, when you have to sit in both the Emperor's position and the King's position together, you could be really hard on yourself in terms of these decisions that you have to make and the responsibility that's on your shoulders. So, you know, try not to be hard on yourself. You know, even the greatest kings have made mistakes, and different decisions and actions can make up for it. I do hope that's helpful, Elizabeth. So I'm just going to put the cards away and decharge the cards, and then I'll move on to Lindsay. Lindsay, if you're still there, let me know. You're very welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you for that message. So Lindsay, just let me know if you're there. Oh, there you are. Hello, I just saw your message pop up. And let me know if you have a specific topic or question you'd like me to focus on, or left general, like it has been so far tonight. I'm just clearing Elizabeth's energy from the cards, and then I will start charging them with your energy, Lindsay. Now, as I was saying earlier in the broadcast, Lindsay, quite often, if someone has like more than one question or topic, or they're not sure what to decide, what to ask, it can be left general. Quite often, the messages that need to be heard will pop up anyways, but it's up to you if you want to try and refine what you're looking for from this short session. Move the messages up. Okay. I can do that. Now, if you want me to focus on a specific family member, that is possible, but I have a certain personal policy where I don't read for someone who isn't either on the broadcast or at my table. The reason for that is I don't want to ambush their energy, draw in their energy, read for them when I don't really have their permission to do it. So with spirit, that's different. With mediumship, because I get that one-on-one connection with them and I can acquire that, it's almost like a conversation. But with someone who's alive and I'm drawing in their energy, there's no conversation about it. So I don't like to ambush someone who may not appreciate being read. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. I'll do it from your perspective and how you can help. I can definitely do that. Perfect. So I'm I don't need to know the person that you're concerned about or the details of their situation. I'm just going to focus on your energy and draw that into the decks. And then I will ask the decks, when I move to this deck, I will ask the deck to focus on what's on your mind, that how can you help your family and that specific family member. In the meantime, though, I'm going to look at where you're sitting now in the moment. And the card that I get for you, Lindsay, is the Knight of Swords. Now, as I explained already, swords are like heavy thoughts and intellect. And when we mix heavy thoughts and intellect with a knight are like the action takers. When you look at the court structure of tarot, you have the king and queen at the top, and they're making the decisions in the best interest of the kingdom. And then below them is the knights and the pages. The pages take the orders from the king and deliver it to the knights. And that's why the pages are looked at as like starting a new path or getting in another direction. But knights are the action takers. So this is like taking action. And quite often when we take action on heavy thoughts and intellect, it can mean an argument or a battle or some sort of fight. So you may be feeling like in the moment that you're up against something, or that you're battling your way through, or that you're arguing, or you're standing strong in your opinion. And so I'm just going to start charging this deck with your topic on how you can help that family member. I think what I'll do is I'll form it more like a question so that the cards give more guidance than information, because I think that's probably more what you're looking for, not just the details of the situation. I feel like the cards are shuffling in a way that they have a specific order that they want to be in. Okay, Lindsay, 3 cards have come out. One is a higher arcana card, and then 2 other cards are suits, and they're swords, which are heavy thoughts and intellect. Again, lots of swords through this. So I just think that this is heavy on your mind, that this is a lot of thought that you've given. I'm going to start at one end and work my way through this way. I just feel drawn to doing that. The first card that I'm going to talk about is the 2 of Swords. It looks like this. No cards have come out reversed, and so this is the way that the card appeared. And the 2 of Swords often represents being blinded by a choice, or not being able to make a choice because of some sort of blinding. So this could mean that you don't have all the information that you need to make some sort of decision or choice. Swords represent heavy thoughts and intellect. 2 in numerology is partnership, or often a choice. And so if the card often represents, if you could just remove the blindfold, you would receive information, and that would help you to decide or make this choice. But you're sort of blinded from what you need. Now, another perspective that needs to be talked about is the 7 of Swords. The 7 of Swords looks like this. It did not come out reversed. And this sort of means that you may feel like someone's taking from you intellectually. Like the heavy thoughts are taking something from you, or they're really bringing you down, or it's just explaining how this could be affecting you. I could see this being really hard to go through, especially if you don't have all the information that you need to make a choice, and you feel like you're sort of being intellectually ripped off in some way. I don't like that expression, but that's sort of the feeling I'm getting from this reading. And then the last card that I need to talk about is the Devil card. Now, don't let this fret or fool you. It doesn't mean like Christian devil, or it doesn't mean evil, but it does mean that you're up against some sort of adversary, that there's an adversary involved in this reading. I'm not sure if the family member is the adversary, if they're up against you in terms of how you're feeling or the support and care that you have for them, or if there's an adversary involved with that other friend or family member. Now, this card sometimes comes up for somebody who has some disruptive influence in their lives. And I am getting that sort of sense that there's this disruptive influence involved, and that could be the adversary. I have had this card come up for like drugs or alcohol abuse. That was the adversary in those readings. And so I get the sense that there's some sort of adversary that your family member could be up against, and that is part of the problem. I'm just reading your messages here. Okay, thank you, Lindsay, letting me know that that makes a lot of sense. Now, I'm not sure if the cards have accurately given us a description on how you can help. I get the sense that it's more given us the details of the situation. Now, when I look at how you can help in terms of this reading, one of the things you may be able to do or need to do is gather more information. Try to remove this blindfold. You may be blinded currently from something involving this situation, that if you could just remove the blindfold, receive that information, or find out about what's missing in your view or in your perspective, I think you'll be able to help a lot better having all the information. Now, in the meantime, how can you help further? I'm still going to expand on this reading further in hopes of offering that. Now, given that this is about an external energy with an extended family member, perhaps, I'm going to ask this deck for advice. This is my Zen deck, and I often turn to this deck for advice when I want to get advice on the interactions with the energies around me. And so I'm going to apply that to your reading, Lindsay. I'm going to shuffle this deck and charge the reading with the deck right from the beginning and ask this deck for advice in terms of what you can do to help this family member. Either help them with the adversary or how to get that missing information. Like I just want to see what direction the cards advise that would be helpful. Okay, and the three cards that have come out, two of them are higher arcana cards, and I feel like they're speaking together. So I'm going to go there in a moment, but I'm being drawn to this card first. And the card that I'm being drawn to is what I like to call the dream card. It's labeled the dream, and it's got a 6. 6 in numerology is usually about how we interact with people around us, and the color around the number tells me that this is like similar to a sword. It's like heavy thoughts and intellect. And you can see here, this person here has a dream, and they're dreaming what they want for themselves, or they're dreaming a vision for themselves. And that's what this is really saying, is not to lose sight of the vision. Don't lose hope. Don't lose the vision of what you want for your family member in the ways that you want to help them. I think if you maintain that vision in your head, you're going to be able to support them better. You're going to be able to come up with ways to support them in the ways that you would like to. Now, this is a higher arcana card. It's the third higher arcana in this tarot deck structure, and it's the creativity card. See if I can get it without a glare so you can see it. It's got beautiful art on it. Not sure if you can see with it there. There we go. Oh. And it really represents, using your creativity, using your intuition, using your instincts. What's standing out for me in the card is not only the flower, like intuitively, what's standing out for me is not only the flower that appears here. I don't know if it's showing up very well, but also the moon and how they're being drawn to the crescent moon in the sky here. And I think what this is really saying is that not only can you use your passion for this situation, but you can also use your intuitive sense. I think you have an intuition about this, Lindsay, in which case there may be something that you seem to somehow know, but not know how you know, or there could be something about this that, you have a gut feeling, or that you have an intuitive sense. I think there's something like that in play with this card coming up. but this was a suggestion poll, and so the suggestion is to use your creativity, use your intuition, use that passion that's there. And then the next card that I need to talk about is the 8th higher arcana card in this suit, and it's talking about courage. And you can see from the imagery, this flower is being grown out of stone. So it's really about persistence and triumphing over your situation. And I think you're going to need courage to move forward with this. You're going to need to be strong, courageous, creative, and keep the vision. And what this tells me with the advice that's come out in this, Lindsay, is that this may not be an easy path. This may not be, cut dry. This isn't going to be like cookie cutter simple. This is going to take effort. You're going to need to stay strong, have courage, use creativity in order to help with this. You're not going to be able to help if you don't hold that vision, use your creativity, and be courageous. I hope that makes sense for you. Oh, there you go. So if you feel like your intuition is always spot on and the creativity card is really highlighting your intuition, I think what that's really saying is that you can follow that intuition. Don't second guess yourself, or don't question it. Don't look at some of those feelings like it could be just a coincidence and you brush it off. Really analyze what things mean to you. Oh, thank you so much, Lindsay. I really appreciate knowing that I'm spot on. It just lets me know that I'm on the right track in my reading. So thank you for that. Okay, you're very welcome, Lindsay. I'm going to put these cards away, and I will move on to Apexa Meda next. Is that how, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Apexa? So Apexa, just let me know if you're still on the call. And if you have a topic or question you'd like me to focus on, or if you'd like to have it left general like it has a couple times this evening. I'm just clearing energies from the decks, and then I'll be ready to start your reading, Apexa, if you're there. I haven't seen your message yet. If you've already put the message in and submitted it, but it hasn't come up yet, I apologize for just staring and waiting. Hopefully you're still on the call. I could continue with your reading, just keeping it general, in hopes that if you've maybe been disconnected that you'll come back. Oh, there you are. Nope, that's Alex. Hi, Alex. Nice to see you. Just gonna... Okay, Alex, so I have 6 spots that have been taken up, but unfortunately Apexa is not getting back to me. So I'm going to move on in the list, and Apexa, if you're there or if you join us, I will still offer you that reading if you come back on the call. But I am going to continue on because I'm not getting a response from you yet. And if you let me know when you're there, I'll just continue, like you'll be next in the list. So Alex, I've added you to the list as my 6th person, and I'm just going to continue. Lynn, if you're there, I'll continue with you next. So Lynn Binnery, is that spelled, or did I pronounce that correctly, Lynn? One of the things that I have trouble doing, which is why I write them down, is I have trouble going back through the chat while I'm on the broadcast. It is fairly small on the phone, and it would probably take me too long to find the messages. So I try to make notes as I go. Hi, Lynn. Thank you for that. Oh, thank you for that. I appreciate your question there. I can definitely focus on that topic as a topic and then see the messages that come up in the cards. I'm just going to reread again so I keep it in mind as I'm charging this deck, but I'll start with your one card impression pull first. I'm really sorry to hear about the fire in April that you mentioned there in your details in that message. That sounds very hard to go through. I apologize for that. So I'm just connecting with your energy, Lynn, and I'm asking the cards to give me an impression of that energy to see where you're sitting in the moment. And then I'll move on to this deck, and that's when I'll focus on your topic of the with the apartment. And for you, Lynn, I get the 8 of Cups. It looks like this. It did not come out reversed. And what this often means is going through something really emotional and just wanting to leave it behind and go find higher ground and find a safe place. You can see that in the card itself, in the way that the character is walking, their back is to all of the cups. The cups are all sorted out, but they're not in a row. They're kind of piled and jumbled around. And there's all this rough water, and they're leaving the area to go to this higher ground, a safe place. And so I feel like for you, Lynn, you're in a process of trying, almost avoiding these emotional processes. Just know that quite often when we leave behind cups of emotion, they can come back to bite us. So you might want to visit those cups and sort through them at some point. But I could understand needing to find higher ground, especially with the details that you gave in your message. That would be a very hard situation to go through. So I could understand, needing to go. I could understand why you're in this position now, for sure. Just know that eventually, it's usually good to make sure that you're acknowledging those emotions. Make sure that you're going through those cups and organizing how you feel about the situation that has happened for you. So I'm just focusing on your question. And notice how when I connect with your energy, Lynn, the cards are kind of hitting each other. They're a bit more rigid than it has been shuffling tonight. And quite often that can mean that the person I'm reading for may be sort of against themselves in some way, or that they could be their worst enemy. And for you, I get that sort of sense, but in a different kind of way that I normally do. I think it could be just that you're overwhelmed or going through a lot, and some of those challenges or struggles could be getting in the way of what you need to do for yourself. So just keep that in mind, okay, as you do the things that you need to do and go through the processes. I'm just reading the messages that have popped up. Absolutely, I could understand that being very hard. Thank you for explaining that, Lynn. I really appreciate that. I feel like these cards are not happy until I finished shuffling them. So 3 cards have come out. Really interesting. There's a court card and suits. There's no higher arcana. And for you, Lynn, I'm going to just start here and work my way this way. Reason being is because I feel like this could be explaining the situation that you're in, not necessarily where you're headed. And because your question was about, will they be calling you soon in regards to that apartment, I think that it does lead to a good position, but I'm going to start here and work my way to that, okay? The first card that came out is the 5 of Swords. Now, I think I already touched on this card earlier tonight. Swords represent heavy thoughts and intellect, and 5, it's usually a halfway point where there's a choice. It could go either way. And this card often represents a no-win situation where you may feel like you've won something, but you're not victorious. And I could understand how you may feel with that in the way that this situation has unraveled. Here you are looking for a new apartment. It's good news to get a new apartment, but that's not a winning detail when you lose your house, right? So I can understand why that card's coming out and what that means. Now, the next card that comes out is the King of Rods reversed. The card looks like this. As I mentioned earlier, kings represent sort of the decision makers. They're the, when you look at the court in a kingdom, the kings are usually the higher up decision makers, and there's sometimes sacrifices involved. When kings show up reversed like this, it can mean not being able to decide or make a decision. Now, this decision is about an action that needs to be taken. I can tell that by the wand. So when we think about this decision about an action that needs to be taken and there's some sort of missing information, once you gain that missing information, this card will flip around and you'll be able to sit in the king's position and make that determination, make that choice, make that decision on the actions that are needed. But until then, the card looks like this. And then the card that I wanted to lead up to is the Two of Cups. Now, cups represent emotion in tarot, and two represents a partnership. Sometimes it represents finding our own place in the universe. Other times it can mean an actual, like, meeting up with someone else. And so there's this emotional partnership, and I do get the sense it's the latter, and that you will be communicated by someone that's going to help you with this, that there is going to be this communication or partnership created, and it's going to be an emotional partnership. Given that how the cards are sort of leading up to this, going this way, I really feel like that you will receive that call eventually. It's right now, it must feel like it's never going to arrive, or that it's a no-win situation, or that you can't make the decisions that you need to. And given how this reading has gone, and then looking at where you're sitting now in the moment, I could understand why you may be going for that higher ground. The apartment opportunity may be the higher ground for you in a lot of ways, right? Now, I'm wondering how I can expand on this further. I think I need to dig deep. Given how deep of a situation this must be affecting you, like how deeply this must be affecting you, I'm going to turn to my Witch's Wisdom deck. The reason being is because it does go deep in the messages that need to be heard. And so I'm just going to ask this deck for 3 cards on messages that you need to hear between now and the time that call comes in, okay? Another reason why, and I'm seeing it in this deck too, is the way that this deck shuffled, sort of being against yourself in some way. And I feel that in this deck as well, where I think I'm hoping to give some messages of encouragement with this deck moving forward. And these are messages that are going to come from deep within. Okay, interestingly enough, the 3 cards have come out. 1 is a high arcana, 2 are suits, and 1 is not reversed, 2 are. And so I'm just going to go with the middle card that's standing out for me, and it's the 7 of Fire. The card looks like this. Okay, 7 in numerology is like spiritual development. Fire is similar to wands. It's like the actions, the passion. And the 7 of Wands, when we get actions and passion mixed with spirituality, it can often mean like finding ourselves, finding our power, finding our own courage, and finding our own passions. And that's what that card represents. You can see here the lion is completely surrounded by roses, wild roses, and he's not necessarily in the jungle, but he has this light shining on him. And the lion is more representative as a symbol, not necessarily for the representation of the animal itself. And so when you think about the symbols of a lion, the lions are the king of the kingdom, the animal kingdom. They're the ones that are like, it's sort of like they're the alpha animal. And that's what this is really saying. It's like stepping into your power, finding your passions, finding what's important to you. And I just think that that's a really important process for what you're going through. Focus on on the development of you yourself, and less about what's been lost, and try to see what's been gained out of this. And I could see that being not easy to do, but I think it may be a helpful process for you. Now, a card that's come out here that is the Higher Arcana card is the Wisdom Keeper reversed. And what this card often represents is when you find out things that may not necessarily have fit exactly with what you thought. When it's this way, it's like you are the wisdom keeper. All the information's there and it's organized and it makes sense to you. When it's reversed, it's like you're not the wisdom keeper. So there could be missing information or things that you need to sort out for yourself. And I think that's what this card is saying, is just to sort out the process that you're going through. Don't expect to have the answers. Don't expect that you're supposed to know this stuff. This is a new situation for you. This is out of the blue, no doubt. And so I really feel like you could be hard on yourself in this, that you think you should know the answers and have all the thought processes worked out. And it's not going to be that simple. And the last card that I want to point out is the Six of Water reversed. Now, I asked this deck specifically because this deck usually digs deep with what needs to be heard. And this card, the way that it's come out like this, is suggesting not to dig deep. Normally, it looks like this. And you can see here that this bird or loon has dove deep in the water to catch the fish. And it really represents doing that, diving deep to reach the goal. When it's reversed, it's saying you don't need to dive deep to reach the goal. You can fish from the shallows, so to speak. And I'm wondering if this card has come out this way because you're sort of avoiding this emotional process and finding higher ground, that you may not be digging deep right now emotionally, that may be hard for you to do, or that's sort of avoiding. Let me know how that makes sense to you, Lynn. When I look at these when I look at these cards in this reading as a whole, and I bring it right back to where you are in the moment, this seems to me like reconstructing yourself, because what has been given to me out of the second deck that I chose is not necessarily digging deep in yourself. So you're you're on the surface, and then rediscovering yourself with the Seven of Fire, like you're seeing the growth in your own spirituality, and that some of this may be, for lack of a better way of saying it, some of it may be in the cards. Like some of this could have been fate. Like part of your life lesson was to go through what you're going through now. Oh, thank you, Lynn. I really appreciate that confirmation that I'm definitely spot on. I really appreciate that, just knowing that I'm on the right track in the reading. So I'm going to put the cards away. I do hope that this was helpful, Lynn, and I do wish you well on your journey. Shanine Ann, if you're available, I'll start with you next. I'm just going to clear and cleanse the decks. And then Shanine Ann, if you're available and on the call, just let me know. And if you have a specific topic or question you'd like to focus on, and then I will move to Alex. And I'm also waiting to see if Apex Meta, if you're still on the call, or if you were able to rejoin us, if you were disconnected, just let me know, and I will reinsert you into the list, because you missed your spot on the list when you came up because you weren't answering. I was worried that you may have been disconnected. So at any time, just let me know that you're there, and I will acknowledge you, and we will look at where we can fit you into the list. So Shanine Ann, thank you so much. I do see your message there confirming that you are still on the call. Felt like that needed a good cleanse. Career, please. Absolutely. I can just focus on career in general if you'd like, if that's what you're looking for, with a topic of career as my focus. Almost done here. Okay. some of these decks aside. So, Shanine, thank you for your patience. I really appreciate that. I know you've been waiting on the call for quite a while. You asked earlier in the broadcast for your reading. I think you've been waiting like an hour or so. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I'm just going to start your reading with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and that's just going to tell me where you're sitting energetically in the moment. And then I'll move to this deck, and that's when I'll focus on your question in terms of your career. So the card that I get for you in the moment, Shanine, is the Tower card reversed. If the card came out this way, it would mean that something had to be completely destroyed and destructed in order to invoke change. That in order to go through a change, something had to be demolished, like completely destroyed. When it's reversed, it means that you've avoided having to go through that sort of change, that you either went through the change without creating that destructive force, or you avoided the change altogether. Let me know how you resonate with that message, Shanine. I do get a sense that that you may have gone through a change and it just wasn't as destructive and torn apart as you assumed it would be or thought it was going to be. Let me know your thoughts on that, okay? Now that is your impression of in the moment. And so now I'm going to focus on your career. Okay, thank you, Shanine. I appreciate that. Yes, definitely. So you understand what this card is saying. I appreciate that. Just knowing that. Okay, Shanine, this is for you. 3-card pull about career. Now, 3 cards, in the 3 cards that have come out, one is a High Arcana and it's in the center. It is reversed and there's also 2 suits. I feel like I need to start aside from the, work my way to the Higher Arcana. And is that how I need to read this? Okay, I feel like the suits are speaking together. And so I'm gonna start, I think I am going to start with the Higher Arcana card. Sorry, it just this reading seems to be a bit all over the place a little bit. The Higher Arcana card that came out is the Chariot card reversed. It looks like this. Now, normally the Chariot card looks like this, and it would represent, if it came out this way, it would represent sort of, getting on it and getting down to task and, getting to the race and winning the goal and making your way to win the goal. When it's reversed like this, it can mean that you're having a challenge in that process. When you think about the Chariot and what the Chariot stands for, there's a goal, and the goal in the depiction of the card is to win a race. And so the chariot driver has a lot to do in order to get to the goal. They have to drive the horses, they have to repair broken wheels, they have to make sure their chariot's functional, they have to steer, they have to drive it, they have to be very cunning and smart and strategic in the way that they race in order to be the winner. And so there's a specific way that you need to achieve your goal. When it's reversed, it means that it may not be common sense, or that it may not be like as simple as that, or that it could be more of a complicated process. It's not that you know exactly what you need to do in order to get to the goal. The next card that I'm going to talk about is the 7 of Swords reversed. I talked a little bit about this card earlier because when it shows up this way on the table, where it's right side up, it can mean that you feel like something's being taken from you, like thought processes or intellectually. When it's reversed, you can feel relieved or know that that's not happening, that people aren't taking something from you. Your ideas are not being exploited, or that you're not being taken advantage of for your thoughts and ideas. Now, the Six of Pentacles is the third card that I want to talk about. And the Six of Pentacles often represents how you are viewed by others in the way that this comes out this way, on being generous, on being kind, and that generosity that you, and you know, being fair, and what's standing out for me in the image actually is the scales. And so I think it's just about being like, you're being justified, and that, you know, people see you as being a fair judge, or that you're a good judge of character, or, you know, it's something along those lines on how you are generous in your personality. When I look at this reading in terms of your career, Shanine, I feel like your career may be at a halt, or you feel like you're not able to get ahead, given that the Chariot card is reversed. Know that if you feel like this now, or you've avoided this destructive change, the card that is upright is a very good card to have, to be viewed as being fair and kind and generous, I mean. I'm wondering how I can expand on this further for you. Given that it was about your career, I'm wondering if I should use my pagan deck again to look at possibly advice on your career in maintaining the balance that you need. I'm just going to look back at some of the messages here. Oh, hello, June. I really appreciate your message. Unfortunately, I have capped my readings tonight to 6 readings, but I will automatically include you in the draw that's coming up on September 19th, where you'll get a chance to receive a free remote reading. I usually do that draw in 1 to 5 chances to win. And Louise, I can add you to the draw as well, because I have capped my readings tonight to 6. And so I've added you to my list to add you to the draw. So I will definitely include you in the draw when I do that on September 19th. So check back in your Facebook Messenger on September 19th if you're a winner. Okay, Shanine, I'm going to continue with your reading here. I have my pagan deck, and I'm just going to charge the pagan deck with your intention of advice for your career, and I'm connecting it with the energy of the reading right from the beginning here. I just need to point out how the cards are kind of rigidly going together, and as I described earlier, that sometimes can be the way that the cards shuffle can kind of give me an impression of the energies that I'm connecting with. And so I just feel like there could be something in this that you're against yourself in some way. Now, this was advice towards your career, and I don't see anything in terms of balance. What I see is cards telling or describing a focus or a mindset. The first one is the Novice of Pentacles. It looks like this, and it represents making the right decisions for money. The coin in particular that this person is holding is standing out for me, so I do think it's about finances and money. And the Novice is like similar to a page in the tarot structure. It's like moving in the right direction, moving into a new direction, learning about this. And so I feel like there's this decision or new direction you need to go to in terms of money. Now, the Ace of Wands also appears. And wands represent actions, and aces are when we realize something or something comes out of the clouds or is new. And so I feel like what you're doing is realizing your action. I think you need to really consider the actions you need to take for your career. And then the next card that came out is the Two of Swords. It looks like this. And I talked about the Two of Swords earlier in the broadcast, but on a different deck. So in this deck, it depicts very similar meanings, that swords represent heavy thoughts and intellect. Two is a choice that or a partnership. And so when we make a choice with heavy thoughts and intellect, quite often we're blinded by the missing information. So you can see here that there's someone standing behind them and they're sort of blinding them like guess who? And I think what this is really saying is that you may have to make a choice without seeing the outcome. You may have to decide what you're thinking without having all the information at hand. And that can be a challenge in itself. That can be risky because you're not going to know where the decision will lead until you've made the decision. And then by then it's sort of too late. You kind of have to let things unravel and go with the flow. Now, where I do see positivity in your reading, Shanine, is that the Novice of Pentacles is usually an opportunity because you're moving into a direction in terms of money or finances. So because there's an opportunity and right beside that is a discovery of action, I have a feeling that you're going to create this opportunity for yourself in some way. So there's going to be some sort of opportunity that's going to open up for you in your job, and you're going to then know what you need to do that's different than what you've been doing already. Just know that you may have to, in order to get there, you may have to make a choice without having all the information first. So there could be some risk involved. When I look at this reading as a whole, Shanine, I see swords and wands and pentacles, but there's no cups. I don't see emotions appearing on the table. And that could be because you maybe have all your emotions in check, or that you're aware of how you feel. You're aware of the emotional processes that you're going in. I just want to highlight to make sure that you are processing those emotions. I would hate to not see them come up on the table because you were ignoring them or because they were not serving or suiting you. Those are the kinds of situations where emotions can come back to bite you at some point, and you end up with this emotional disturbance that you then have to take care of and honor and heal. So there could be some healing involved in this, but I do get the sense that there's going to be an opportunity for you, and that you're going to have to jump on that opportunity in your own actions to take advantage of it. I hope that that makes sense for you, Shanine, and that this was helpful for you. And Apexa, if you're on the call, if you were able to join us again, just let me know. If Apexa, if you decide to come later and the broadcast has ended, or if you like, this does get posted to my Facebook and to my website afterwards. If you watch it afterwards and you see that you didn't get your reading, please reach out to me. I will be actually reaching out to you. I'm going to just make a note of that. I'm going to reach out to you after the broadcast just to see if we can connect, or I can offer you that reading. Alex Garcia, if you're available on the call, just let me know. Oh, there you are. Perfect. I will definitely do that. Let me just cleanse and clear my decks here. Thank you for that, Alex. I like that you're just right on the beat here. I will definitely do a general reading for you. And you're welcome. Thank you for visiting and attending my live broadcast. Okay. Almost ready? So Alex, I'm gonna, as I've been explaining all night, I'm gonna start your reading with a 1-card impression pull from this deck, and then I'll move to this deck, and that's when I will focus on your general reading. And then if we are able, and if it's helpful, we'll expand further using another deck that I have available. So for you, Alex, I get the 2 of Cups. We kind of talked about this card already in a previous session on tonight, but it really represents a partnership of some kind, an emotional partnership. Sometimes this card can represent meeting up with someone else, but what's standing out for me are the symbols that are appearing between the 2 people. And quite often that can mean sort of not necessarily so much of finding someone else, but creating a relationship with yourself, kind of like finding your place in the world, or finding how you feel about yourself, or what does this mean for you? Another thing that's standing out for me is the robe on the one side. And even though that the 2 people are obviously dressed different, I get the sense that it's almost like different perspectives in the way that the pagan deck just illustrated earlier. I'm getting a very similar sense to that here. Does that make sense for you, Alex? Also, what's standing out for me is the lion head in the center. And lions for me are like when we step into our own power, when we have that courageousness. You know, when you think about a lion, they can be as cute as a cuddly purry kitten, and on the very next moment, they can be a ferocious beast. And so that difference, and just knowing yourself and getting to know all the different aspects of yourself and getting into tune with your own strengths. I feel like that's what's being said to me in that card, which is why I think it's more about your relationship with yourself or your place in the world than I do think it's about a partnership. Now, if you connect this card with a partnership, that's totally cool, except that I would suggest that it could be about your place in that partnership. I do get a sense that this is more about you than about them if there's someone else involved, which is why I'm thinking it's more about your relationship with yourself, like where you fit in the world. So I'm just going to pull 3 cards from this deck. And the 3 cards, we're just going to, it's a general reading, so the way that they speak to each other is the way that we'll get those messages on what needs to be heard. So 2 cards are higher arcana. One's reversed, one's not, and then we have a suit. I'm going to start at the higher arcanas and work my way to the suit. The first higher arcana card is the Hierophant card, and it is reversed. Now, quite often the Hierophant card can stand for structure, a certain way of doing things, which is why this card can often represent like religion or spirituality, because with religion, there's like a usual standard structure on how there's to do something. When it's reversed, it just means that you're going to do it your own way, that you're not going to follow that systematic approach that's been laid out. You're going to do this in your own way, that you're going to be unique about it, or find your own way as opposed to some sort of systematic approach. Now, the next higher arcana card that came out is the Lover's card. And I do feel like these cards are speaking together. Now, the Lover's card is about someone else, a significant other. And so I do feel like that's playing a role in this. When these 2 cards speak together, it could mean that you're in some sort of relationship, or there's some sort of potential relationship that is not what would be expected. So you're doing this in your own way, or that the relationship itself is not following some systematic approach or out of what's expected. Does that make sense so far, Alex? Because the next card I think is important in those messages. And that's because it's the 7 of Cups. It did not come out reversed. It looks like this. And this card often represents emotional overwhelm. When all the cups are displayed like this at the same time, and as you can see, there are different images in each cup. There are different subjects and topics overwhelming the emotions of this card. And so often this card is worked through by slowly working through each cup and avoiding the overwhelm. When you look at one cup at a time, you can sort through each emotional pocket, but when you see them all at the same time, it's emotionally overwhelming, similar to what I was mentioning earlier. And that's what that card represents. This is the emotional overwhelm of everything that's involved. And so sorting through that, I get the sense that all these three cards are speaking together in the way that there's this relationship, and then the doing this in a way that's not necessarily expected, and it's just emotionally overwhelming. If this is a new relationship, it would be like an infatuation. Like, I really think that these are strong emotions, and there's a strong connection here. Now, when I bring this right back to where you are sitting now in the moment, it makes sense that the Two of Cups have come up. This is about an emotional partnership. Just know that what stands out for me in this cup is not necessarily about the relationship being created between the two people, but whatever one of them is going through. And I get the sense that that's you. You're going through some sort of process in the creation of this partnership. And I see that process being laid out in the cards. Now, let's expand on this further. Given that this seems very personal, a lot of emotion and some overwhelm, I'm wondering if it would be helpful to revert back to my Zen deck. Or sorry, let's look at the Heart Chakra deck, actually. The Heart Chakra deck works really well at looking at what you need for yourself. And given the impression of this card, where it's more about you than them, I'm wondering if this would be helpful. I was thinking my Zen deck originally, because the Zen deck helps with interactions outside, like external interactions with someone else. But because if this card didn't give me the impression that it was about you, if I thought it was about the partnership, I would think the Zen deck. But because it's about you, I'm thinking more the Heart Chakra deck. Okay, so I'm going to go with the Heart Chakra deck. I think it might give you better advice in terms of what you need for yourself in this relationship. Hi, Dina. Thank you for your message. You can definitely ask a question that I could answer if it's about myself or about how I do tarot readings or about the cards. But if the question is for a reading itself, I've capped the readings tonight to 6 readings, and I'm doing my last reading right now. So I won't be able to do a reading on your question, but please feel free to post a question out if you have a specific question about me or the readings or what it is that I'm doing. And if you're interested in a reading for your question, I could add you to the draw, Dina, that's happening on September 19th. So you just, if you're, I'll just do a random draw where I'll literally pick names out of a hat. And so if you're one of the names that come up, I will include you in that draw. And if you're one of the names, I will contact you through Facebook, probably Facebook Messenger, to let you know that you're a winner and to arrange that free remote reading. So Alex, I'm just focusing on your reading and the way this has gone, and that this is advice in terms of what you need for yourself. Okay, 3 cards have come out. They are all suits, and they are different suits. So quite often that can be a representation of how this affects different areas of your world. And I do see that here because you have 2 higher arcana cards, an emotion card, a being card, a action card, and an intellect card. So all the suits have shown up on the table, which tells me that this affects every part of your world, that this could be even overwhelming to your life, that, you know, your whole life is being affected by your topic on the table. And I'm going to start here. It's the one of this suit, and it's the clarity of belief. One in numerology is like spiritual development. The color around the deck, or around the card, tells me that this is like heavy thoughts and intellect. When it's reversed, it can mean that you don't have a clarity of belief, that you may not believe in yourself in terms of what this reading is about. You may be discouraged, or you may have some confidence issues about this. Quite often, this card can be turned around simply by creating your clarity of belief. Start believing in yourself and you'll feel much better. This card will flip around and you'll be in this clarity. When it's reversed like this, quite often this card comes out for somebody who, whatever they're not believing in themselves is actually there. It's not like you're imagining something that isn't there. You're like, the card should be this way, and once you gain that clarity, it'll flip over. But until then, it looks like this. The next card, I'm just going to go in the order this way that they're calling to me. The next card is the Three of Fire. The color around the deck tells me that this is fire or action. 3 in numerology is communication, and how you can take action in communication is by reaching out for support. Notice how this person is being supported by the different hands. And that's really the symbolisms behind the card, is really talking about finding support, reaching out to your support. There may be people that you could reach to for advice or suggestions, or to get help in regards to this relationship or whatever this is on the table. And the last one is Dreams Come True card. Now, the 9 at the top tells me that this is taking you to the end of a path. There's a goal here. The color around the card tells me that it's about embodiment in what you need for yourself. I get the sense that this is more health than anything else, and it's really about these dreams, knowing that your dreams come true. What this is really saying is the advice or suggestion here is to believe in yourself, especially with these two cards speaking to each other. I feel like they're speaking together in the terms of this clarity of belief being reversed, and then this dreams coming true. I think what you need to do is believe that this can happen, that, you know, it may feel too good to be true, and that's okay. Don't discourage it, or don't don't allow that to disrupt it. Go with the flow. Find out where this leads. That's my impression. Does that make sense for you? Now, when I look at this reading as a whole, Alex, like I said, I see this affecting every part of your life. You have every suit showing up on the table with 2 higher arcana cards. Now, the 2 higher arcana cards, one's reversed and one's not. And again, that's saying something to me, where I intuitively get a sense that there could be some sort of communication that you're not picking up. Sometimes that communication could be coming from within, and that's the impression that I'm getting. I think what this is describing is what this card was describing to me about this partnership, and you need to know where you stand in the partnership. I do hope this was helpful, Alex. Let me know your thoughts on this. Oh, you're very welcome. I see your message there. You're welcome. And so I'm going to clear the decks and cleanse them and now put them away. And that was my last free reading for tonight. Thank you to everyone who participated and got involved. I really appreciate seeing everyone, even those who just came to watch, who weren't interacting in the chat and were just watching the readings. That's very much appreciated that you're here, so thank you. And also to everyone who did chat and send your messages and receive readings tonight. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm available on my website, www.staffordtarot.com. And I'm available in email, bryantarotreading@gmail.com. And I'm also, of course, available on Facebook, facebook.com/bryantarotreading. There we go. And if you're ever looking for information on tarot reading, especially intuitive reading, please feel free to visit my website. As I was mentioning earlier, I do have a lot of tips, suggestions, and advice on my blog, as well as an entire section that's been constructed on how to do readings yourself, which does include free video lessons on how to use a technique, an intuitive technique that's called the path. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. My next Tarot Talk live event will be on October 17th, 2023. It will start around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, similar to tonight, and will run for about 2 hours. I don't know how long I went tonight. Yeah, about 2 hours. And so please feel free to join me. The Tarot Talk topic discussion is going to be about readings of children, what it's like to give readings to children, and how that changes how I deliver the messages. So if you're interested, please join me. There will be announcements on my Facebook. Watch for some of the new upcoming events, because October is jam-packed full of fun and really neat and surprising events, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So keep watching my website in the upcoming events. If you want to get a hold of me or meet me at those events, I often offer free one-card impression pulls to anyone who comes and sees me at events and festivals. Usually a one-card impression pull on its own has a $5 value, but I give them out to free to anyone who'd be willing to stop in, say hi, and chat with me at the event. I usually offer those free one-card impression pulls while I'm between private sessions. And if it's your birthday or anniversary, I like to offer a free short birthday or anniversary reading as well. So if you can show me that it's your birthday, or if you're celebrating an anniversary, absolutely let me know, and I will give you, if it's your anniversary, I can give you and your partner a conjoint short reading together. Or if it's your birthday, I will let you know what you need for yourself that day. So take good care. Thank you so much to everyone who joined me tonight. Take good care, and I will be looking forward to the next live event. Bye.